We have finally reached tactic number 7 of our 9 point conversion copywriting process. And tactic number 7 is people love personalized experiences. Now, it's really interesting. It's important to briefly talk about a historical perspective. 200 years ago, average consumers were, all consumers, were shopping at general merchandise stores. Literally, the store was called merchandise store or maybe dry goods store, very generic names. And they were buying consumable products that oftentimes didn't even have branding. So they would buy rice, they would buy toothpaste, they would buy all of these different products, and that oftentimes didn't have a trademark or branding or any kind of modern advertising. And of course, as time went by, that shifted, and now we're living in a hyper specialized world. I don't want to just go to a doctor. I want to go to a doctor who is a specialist in a very specific type of treatment, who is the best in the world at that treatment, lives in a radius that I can drive to, and is in my price range, right? So we're looking for very, very specific types of personalized, tailor-made solutions. So that's what our consumers expect. So now, as a copywriter, how do I communicate that to the reader? Now, there are two ways in which we can do that. The first one is by simply writing the copy in a way that is viewed by the reader as being personalized. And the second one is our greatest invention of all, a technique we call active participation. And I'll explain that later. So let's kind of look at tactic number 1, or option number 1, where we are talking directly to the buyer in a way that the reader feels that is personalized. Now, in order to do that, you actually have to be a detective, and you have to kind of really anticipate and think about who your consumer is. Now, there are two types of guesses you can make about your buyers. You can make the obvious guess, but then, which is of course all marketers are doing. But then what you're trying to do is you're also trying to come up with some creative guesses. Now, it's important to know that these creative guesses don't have to be 100% accurate, but you can triangulate a lot about the psychology of your buyer by simply thinking about your product category, thinking about your price point, thinking about where you stack up in the advertising journey, thinking about what type of buyer would be buying from you, and you get some really interesting creative guesses about the buyer. So I'm going to show you an example. So let's say that this were a client of ours. It's not. We'd love to work with SheFit though. They have 27,000 reviews. So I don't know anything about a sports bra, but I can make some interesting creative guesses about the buyer. So we actually wrote a whole blog post about this, and I'm going to show you the leaps of imagination guesses. So these are like the creative guesses. So what we did is, I'm going to zoom in here. And what we first did was we did a Google search for sports bra. And you'll notice SheFit appears over here, but then there's also Born Primitive. There's also Bare Necessities, which is a very kind of popular brand. Lululemon, again, very popular brand. And so Title 9, again, a popular brand. And so also we looked at the price points. If you look at the price point over here for SheFit, it's $65, and then this is $78, of course. Look, Lululemon is $108. Bare Necessity is $72. Some of them, this one is cheaper. Some of them more. So it kind of feels like middle of the ground, right? Because their price point is $65, if I believe, right? So it's kind of like really in the middle of the ground. So that's an important guess. This is an important creative guess we can make about the buyer, which is that she is someone who is trying to not buy the ultra premium, but also not try to buy the lowest priced. So we can actually craft copy in a way where we're actually communicating that messaging, because that is a creative guess, and that kind of syncs up with her psyche, right? So we're talking about value for money. Another creative guess is, we can assume it's reasonable that a sports bra is bought for someone who actually actively works out. And so she is someone who values physical health. By extension, she cares about her body image. Now, this is the creative guess, right? Because it's not 100% true that this is the case, but it's a reasonable guess that someone who works out also cares about their body image. The other third guess is, Lululemon and Title 9 are well-known big brands. SheFit isn't as famous. That means our buyer is willing to work with a brand that isn't a household name yet, right? Because she would never have come to our website if she was completely brand name obsessed. She would have, in that case, bought in Lululemon or Title 9. So we can craft a story around this idea that we are a startup, and she would appreciate it because she's already ignored those big brands and come to us, right? So that's an example of a creative guesses, and you can very effectively use them in your copywriting. It is an extremely powerful way of making the reader feel almost like, hey, wait a minute, these guys have hacked my brain and they've somehow understood exactly who I am. Now, the other way in which to make the reader feel like the copy is personalized is to use this technique called active participation. And I'm going to be talking about this a lot because it is the most important invention that we've made in the last 13 years. And I'm going to talk to you about active participation. So there are many ways in which active participation can be used, and we talk about it in great detail. I'm not going to be covering it in this video, but you can certainly learn more about active participation on our website. Here is one example of how we use active participation. So in this case, the shoe brand has a lot of important details. So we didn't show this, just to be clear, this menu option was not shown at the top of the page. It was actually shown like midway down the page because we wanted the reader to first really understand, get kind of what we call the slippery slide effect. We want the reader to kind of start getting engrossed in our story, and then we start showing them some of these options. So let's go back to this example here. The shoe has a lot of important features and a lot of things to talk about, but the reader may not care about all of them, or they may care about all of them. So how do we personalize it for them? So we simply said there's a lot that needs to be said about these runners, and then we said select the things that you care about. Do you care about sustainability? Do you care about the odor-free aspect? Do you care about the comfort? Do you care about the happiness guarantee? Or do you care about all of them? And people that selected all of them then were shown all of the content. People that selected two of those options were shown two of those options, and that is one way of personalizing content. This also has a secondary advantage because the priming technique comes into play. Imagine if you were to go to someone and say, I care about these two details, and then they presented those two details, you've made a social contract with yourself that says, I care about these two details. So when you start reading the copy, and if you stop reading it, if it gets boring, there's a prompt in your own brain prompts you to say, hey, didn't we just agree that we care about these details? Let's go ahead and read it. And remember, as a copywriter, my goal is for someone to read the whole content. And so this is a very effective technique, but it can be used in many other ways. I'll show you some other examples. So here we're using the time dimension. So this is for our client Oransi, and we're giving them the basic pitch, and then we say, how much time do you have today? 2 minutes, or I have time. Someone says I have 2 minutes, we give them the elevator pitch. If someone says I have time, we show them the detailed content. And again, we had a massive improvement in conversion rates because the consumer perceived this to be personalized, which it was, right? Someone says they have 2 minutes, we give them the 2-minute version of the story. Let me show you some other examples. This is my favorite example. I should zoom out a little bit. This is personalizing based on the awareness level of the buyer. So imagine you are buying a juicer, and there are three types of, you could be in one of three buckets. You could be someone who's new to juicing. You could be someone who is a juicer but new to this brand. And you could be someone who is a juicing nerd but new to this brand, right? So basically this person is, I'm a juicer but I'm new to your brand. This person, I'm a juicing pro, but I'm new to your brand. And so you can imagine I'm actually now personalizing the copy based on the awareness level of the buyer, which can be very powerful. And again, this demonstrates to the reader that we're personalizing the pitch for them. There's another way in which this can be used. Now, I really love this example. So this is one of the big mistakes that marketers make. We present our sales pitch and we say, we hope everything makes sense, and we will know if it makes sense if our sales go up. Well, sales going up is too far down the road for me to risk the copy on the page, because some parts of the copy may have been very clear, some parts of the copy may have been very unclear, and I want to know specifically what parts of my copy I failed at so I can course correct and fix it. So you can use active participation for that as well. So look what we've done here. At the end of each paragraph, we've added these buttons, clear and unclear. And then we've added that here as well, clear and unclear, clear and unclear. It's really important to design these buttons in a very subtle way so that they don't overpower the reader, because when you're reading the copy, you really want to notice it when you've got to the bottom of that paragraph versus when you first see the paragraph. So these are the three ways in which you can use active participation. And of course, like I said, this aspect of active participation falls within that bigger topic today of creating the illusion or letting the reader feel like the experience is personalized. So how are you applying this type of personalization on your product page? That's the question.